Hiya YouTubers, I am JabeerIni and I'll show you today how to brew a beautiful beer at home. The beer we'll be brewing today is an experimental one. It's a citrus beer. It involves the use of two techniques that I've seen other homebrewers use and I've always wanted to give it a try. So this is the chance. One is the use of tea and the other one is the use of orange zest. Now, I'm not too sure if these two techniques have been used or should be used together, but in my case I decided to use green tea. And the brand that I'm using offers a green tea with natural lemon aroma and flavor, which then gave me the idea of using orange zest as well to make it even more interesting. So, since we're experimenting with two techniques that contribute to both the flavor and aroma of the beer, I decided to make the rest of the brewing as simple as possible and use liquid malt extract for this time. If I get a good result, obviously I'll try the all grain version as well. There are some other considerations I made regarding the body and the color of the beer, but I'll give you those details in a minute. Now, without further ado, let's get brewing! And here we're in the kitchen. So first things first, let's get a home brew. And here we have it. This is a cherry beer, the one we brewed in episode 6. And I have also released the taste test video. If you haven't seen it, click on the wee eye icon in the top right corner and you'll be redirected. Cheers! It's a good, refreshing beer. Let's go and see those ingredients. So first, as usual, 5 liters of water in this container, which we'll be using as a fermenter. Now the fermentables. 370 grams of barley malt extract. 120 grams of CaraRed, which I have previously steeped overnight in just enough water to cover them. 150 grams of brewing sugar. Now the hops. We'll be using Columbus for bittering and Progress and Challenger for flavor and aroma. I'll tell you the exact amounts in a minute. Now for the experimental part of the flavor and aroma, 3 bags of green tea. This brand offers this version, which has got natural lemon flavor and aroma, and the zest of 1 orange. We'll be using 1/4 of a tablet of protafloc. And last but not least, our yeast. This is half a packet of Wilco's yeast. And that's it, so let's get it on! So we're gonna do 2 things to start. First, we're gonna get this water directly to a boil. And at the same time, we're gonna strain our CaraRed. And you can see how the water is now no longer clear. It's got a golden or light amber color now. I'll be back once the boil starts. Hey there, while we wait for the boil to start, there are a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. The first thing is, why am I using brewing sugar instead of only liquid malt extract? Well, the reason is, and it has connection with the use of CaraRed, I want to brew a very pale and clear beer with a nice golden and probably orangey color. And if I used more liquid malt extract, well, the beer is simply going to be darker. So it's just a matter of color. This is why I'm using brewing sugar. The use of CaraRed responds to the color need and also because it contributes to the body. If I only use brewing sugar, I would end up with a thin beer. Or in any case, the body of the beer won't be as strong if we only used brewing sugar. Now with the hops I'm playing a different game here. I could have chosen a fruity or citrus variety, but I've decided to leave that exclusively in hands of the lemon flavored green tea and the orange zest. So I'm using Columbus basically because that's a pretty standard bittering hop. And Progress I'm using it this time for flavor and aroma because I really like the freshness that this variety gives in terms of aroma. And why did I decide to use Challenger for flavor and aroma? Well, because that's gonna give our beer a nice British touch. And that's it. So again, it's looking good in my head, but let me tell you something. I tried the double IPA before bottling and it tasted amazingly good, very close to what I had in mind, so probably this will work as well. Fingers crossed again. Let's go and measure those hops and brewing sugar. Okay, so here we got what we need. This is 150 grams of brewing sugar. This is obviously the zest of this orange. This is 5 grams of Columbus, which we'll add as soon as the boil starts. This is 3 grams of Progress and 3 grams of Challenger, which will be added at 30 minutes before the end of the boil. And finally 2 grams of Progress and 2 grams of Challenger, which will be added 1 minute before the end of the boil, along with the orange zest. The 3 green tea bags will be added 5 minutes before the end of the boil, and the brewing sugar will be added along with the quarter of a tablet of protafloc 10 minutes before the end of the boil. And now it looks like the boil is about to start, so let me give you a better view. And now in a better angle, we have the running boil that we needed. So it's time to add our liquid malt extract. You can see that I removed the label. That is a good idea, especially if we're gonna submerge this jar in our wort. And there we have it. Almost entirely clean. Here we go again. And that's it. So now it's time to add our 5 grams of Columbus and start our timer for 60 minutes. I'll be back 30 minutes before the end of the boil. Cheers! Alright, 30 minutes before the end of the boil, time to add our 3 grams of Progress and 3 grams of Challenger. And in they go. It smells really good. The color is still not too dark. So I'll be back at 10 minutes before the end of the boil. Cheers! Okay, last 10 minutes of the boil. Time to add our brewing sugar. And a quarter of a tablet of protafloc. And in it goes. Also, I opened another bottle of that cherry beer because the other one was over, and I thought that showing you an empty glass would be extremely rude. So, for the good manners, there it is. So see you in 5 minutes. Cheers! Last 5 minutes of the boil, time to add our 3 bags of green tea. Now, as usual, things start to happen really fast. So I'll be back in less than 5 minutes now. Actually, in less than 4 minutes. Okay, last minute of the boil, time to add our 2 grams of Progress, 2 grams of Challenger, and our orange zest. The smell is amazing. It already smells like lemon. Now it smells a lot like orange. So I'll be stirring this until we hear that magic sound. And here it is. Time to cool it down. So as usual, I'll be stirring this until I get this to 26, 25 degrees. I think I'll take out the tea bags. Yeah, so I'll just take them out. So it's easier for me to stir this. So I'll be back once we have this at the desired temperature to take a gravity reading. Cheers! Alright, our wort is now at a good temperature. To take a gravity reading, strain out those hops and finally transfer it to the fermenter. So let's go. And this is it. Let's take that gravity reading. Alright, so here's our wort already in the fermenter. I shaked it, and there we have a sample for the gravity reading. Here's a pic for you to see clearer that gravity reading, and it's 1044. So far, this is the lowest original gravity I've gotten. I was aiming for something above 50. So if we don't get something below 1020 for the final gravity reading, this is not gonna be a strong ale at all. But one thing I can tell you is that it smells like lemon and orange like crazy. So on that matter, we are on the safe path. which is actually the main purpose of this beer. So this is now ready for us to pitch our yeast. And here we have it. Whoop, I just realized I didn't focus it properly. But hey, I did it. And there it is. Time to put our sanitized airlock. And this is officially it. I'll see you tomorrow and we'll give you a quick update. Cheers! Hey, so here we are next day. Good morning. Cappuccino today for a change. There are several things that I want to talk to you about. Let's go one by one. First, there you have it. There it is, our citrus experimental beer. It's bubbling nicely. And as you can see, it's next to her sister, the Pacific Jade Golden Promise Smash we brewed last week. Now, the first thing that I want to talk to you about was the yeast. Last week I told you I noticed no difference at all with the addition of the yeast nutrient. But this week we've used the remaining half a packet of that very same yeast, and I didn't use that yeast nutrient because even if it shouldn't happen, I just wanted to avoid the possibility that the yeast nutrient would add any off flavor to the beer, so I didn't use it. And I noticed that the intensity of the bubbling, the intensity of the fermentation is not the same as the one we had last week. This one is very stable, very uniform, but it's not as vigorous as the smash we had last week. And second comment, it's been only a week and now our smash is almost ready. I'll take a gravity reading, but the fermentation is almost done. So yes, it really cuts the time in half. Now we need to see if there is any other contribution. Because if it's only time, well, excellent, I'll be using that from now on. But if it adds any flavor, I'd rather waiting. Regarding the color, it reminds me of the color the Way to Amarillo had. It had that color, and then after fermentation was over, it turned out to be a golden ale. You'll see it when it's done. It's now bottle conditioning for almost a week now. But as usual, I'll release a taste test video of that one. Which, by the way, I think it's gonna be a really nice session pale ale. Coffee break before the last two things I've got to tell you. Actually, the two things I've got to tell you are related because they relate to next week. So I'm gonna give you the easiest one first. For next week, we've got another clone. And this time, I'll give you a lot of clues. First, we're gonna clone an IPA. Second, that IPA is a Scottish IPA. Third, I considered that IPA the best IPA in Scotland until I tried Brewdog's Punk IPA. But hey, they don't have anything in common at all. I still consider that's a great IPA. It's got a huge character, as you may imagine. And if you want to know the IPA I'm talking about, check my Instagram. There is a pic of an IPA, and in the description, if I remember correctly, I say that's the best IPA in Scotland. That was a while ago, so you have to scroll down a little bit. The second thing I've got to tell you with regards to next week's episode is that it'll be the last episode of this season. I'm taking some holidays. I really want to go out and have some free time. In the meantime, I'll work in the recipes for season 2. I have a pretty clear idea of the beers I'll be brewing, but I need to work on the recipes. And as usual, many changes will happen. I'll give you those details next week when I'm saying bye-bye for now. So again, I hope you find this video useful, and I hope you had some fun just as much as I did. If you like what you see, like, and don't forget to subscribe. And as usual, thanks for watching. Cheers and beers!